Good evening, folks. Welcome to a webinar on the Ocutag platform. This is Bharti Shekhar. I handle the product management efforts for the Ocutag platform from Rico. And today's session is going to be a quick introduction on the Ocutag visual search platform. And we would basically be touching upon some of the features that Ocutag provides. And I'll also be walking you through the authoring experience, how you can index images on the Ocutag portal, and how you can also create hotspots, essentially a way for you to mark different regions of a particular image. And after that, I'll also be briefly touching upon some of the resources that are there for you as you keep developing your app for this app challenge. And then there are one or two frequently asked questions that I would also be covering in this webinar. So to get started, I would actually like to start off with explaining what the Ocutag platform actually is. What do we mean by when we say it is a visual search platform? So let's take a hypothetical example of a database of movie posters. Let's say there is a huge database of images where each image corresponds to a particular movie, right? And you have this particular image with you, and you hypothetically, let's assume that you don't know what the movie is. So what Ocutag can do for you here is it could take this image that you want to figure out, and it could search this entire database of images, and it can exactly identify what that particular image is. So this is what Ocutag can do for you. It can do a visual search. It basically generates a unique fingerprint for each image, and it can use that fingerprint to identify what that particular image is. So that's the core of Ocutag. It's an image recognition platform, right? So what happens after this image is recognized? So that is something that you as a developer can define. You can have your own behavior defined when Ocutag identifies this image. So just to give some examples, you might want to give information about the cast of the movie. You probably want people to see, people behind this movie, people who worked hard to get the movie done. Or you could actually give a link on Amazon where people could actually go and buy this particular DVD. Or you could define an augmented reality experience. Maybe the characters would play out on the screen when somebody is snapping at this particular poster somewhere. So these are some of the things that you can do. It's not limited, but it's up to you to define what you want to do. So that's exactly what I want to highlight. So in a nutshell, what I want to say is that Ocutag is a visual search platform. It uses image recognition techniques to identify a particular image, and once it has identified the image, you as a developer can define what you want to do for that unique image. You could define digital content that you want to be associated with that image. The next thing I want to show is that how accurate the platform is, right? So Ocutag has been designed keeping in mind the user's mobile use case in mind. So let's say there is this movie poster, and you have printed it on an A4 size paper, and you have associated some digital content for this movie poster. So whenever somebody snaps on this movie poster, they get to buy 2 tickets for the movie, right? Now you blow this poster up, print it on a much bigger size paper, let's say an A2 size paper, and somebody snaps on it, they still get the same digital content. You print the same image on a much smaller sized paper, an A8 size paper, and there is still the digital content associated with the image whenever somebody snaps on it. You go further small and you still get it. So this is the power of the Ocutag platform. I mean, the image recognition algorithms that it uses can identify images at various distances and scales. The next thing I want to highlight is something we call HotSpots. Essentially, what you can do is, once you have indexed an image, you can identify different regions, different areas of the image, and you can associate different digital content for each of those regions. So for instance, let's say there is this hat. When somebody snaps on this hat, they probably get a different link, versus somebody snaps on the actor's shoes, in this case they probably get a different link, and somebody snaps on the text or the other regions and they probably get to see a different link. Let's say that is the use case that you want to have, and that is something that Ocutag supports. All these different regions are called region hotspots in Ocutag. Now the same thing, right? When somebody snaps on the user's hat on a A4 size sheet, they get the digital content associated with that hat. You blow up the image and again somebody snaps on the hat, they get the same experience. You shrink the image, you still get the same experience, and you shrink the image even further and somebody snaps on the hat, they get the same experience. So the hotspot targeting is also designed to work at different scales and different distances, and that is one thing I would like to highlight in today's presentation. Moving on to some of the features that Ocutag provides. The first thing I would like to tell you is that the algorithms have been designed to be very, very accurate. So you would Ocutag guarantees zero false positives. What essentially it means is that if you have indexed a Coke bottle in your collection and somebody is snapping at a Pepsi bottle, Ocutag would rather tell that hey, I don't know what this is, rather than telling you that it could be a Coke bottle. So that is what Ocutag has been designed to do. It works very well with images, text, and also 3D objects, and it has been tested thoroughly with albums, magazines, and also some of the retail products that you see out on the shelves. It's a platform agnostic, language agnostic platform. Essentially what it means is that you could build out your application on HTML5 or a Java application, or it could be a C++ or a C# application. As long as you have access to internet and you make web service calls to the Ocutag platform, your application is capable of image recognition. And you need to be a registered developer. You need to have access to Ocutag's APIs. So although the APIs are simple to use, they're also secure. It means that only people with access to the platform can actually use it. And there are also some readily available libraries. There are libraries available for the Android, iOS, and the Windows platform. We see a lot of traction from the mobile segment. So the libraries have been made available for these platforms to readily integrate with Ocutag's APIs. And the authoring experience on the portal has been designed to be very easy and simple to use. You can define your own custom behavior for any image that you want. When you use a snap at a particular image, you probably want them to be directed to a YouTube link or a LinkedIn profile, or you want to have your own customized experience defined. You have an option for that. You can upload images in batches. And the other feature that I want to highlight, and we just spoke about, is the hotspots feature. Essentially you can mark different regions of an image, and based on the region the user is snapping, he would get a customized behavior. And the number of hotspots per image, there is actually no limit. You could define multiple hotspots in a particular image. So I would like to quickly walk through the authoring experience. I would also like to tell you how to create hotspots. So let's just quickly move on to the browser and see how you can create your own collection. So go to ocutag.com, log in with your registered username and password, and once you register you would be asked to create your own collection. So a collection is actually a database. It is a database where you would put up all the images that you want to be identified, and there is no limit on the number of collections that you can create. You can create any number of collections that you want. So let's say I want to create a collection called movies. Click on create, and the next thing that you want to do is you want to upload some images. Let's say I want to upload a couple of images onto the portal. Let's say I select 3 images and I click on start upload. Make sure that the enable upon upload checkbox is enabled. Essentially, this is the checkbox that tells Ocutag that these are images that it needs to break down and generate a unique fingerprint for. So make sure this checkbox is enabled. Click on done. And now that you have 3 images, you probably want to add links to them. So let's say I want to add the same link. I want some links to a movie database. So I select all of them and click on edit. Now the 3 images have been selected. I can define a link that I want. So let's say I call it movies link, right? So the display name is going to be, let's say, IMDb movies, and the categories, you could select the multiple categories that you want, but in my case I'm just selecting a simple web link. So let's say anybody who snaps on any of these images gets to go to imdb.com, and I have entered all these images and I click on create. So the links have been created successfully, and I click on done. So if you now look closely, you see that there is one link associated with each of these images. So what is going to happen now is, whenever anybody snaps on any of these images, they are going to get redirected to imdb.com. So that's essentially what we have done. So what we have done is created something called a page hotspot link. Now I also, as I mentioned about hotspots, I mean, you could mark different regions of a particular image and have different digital content associated with each of those regions. I want to demonstrate that. So let's say I pick this movie poster, and let's say in this case I want to mark different regions. Let's say for the the actor's face, I want to have a different link, and for the bike I want to have a different link. So what I would do is I would like to create a region hotspot. So I click on the region hotspot. Let's say I call I create one link for the actor's face. So I would now have an option of selecting the region. So let's say I select the actor's face, and now I want to add a link, right? So I have my link library, and let's say I add this link, right? So I add a LinkedIn profile, the actor's LinkedIn profile, and I click on OK. Now I want to add a different link for the bike. So I again click on region hotspot, and I name the hotspot bike, and now I select only the portion that covers the bike in the poster, and associate a link. Let's say I call it the Harley Davidson link. So if you notice, this is a YouTube link, so anybody who snaps on the bike would probably get to see the video, the YouTube video. So now if you see, I have marked 2 different regions. One is the actor's face and one is the bike. So what is going to happen now is that I have 2 region hotspots, as you can see, and whenever anybody snaps on the bike, they get to watch a YouTube video, and whenever somebody snaps on the actor's face, they get directed to the actor's LinkedIn profile. So this is essentially what is going to happen with hotspots, and anybody who snaps outside this area gets to see the page hotspot, which is a simple IMDb link, right? So this is what hotspots can do for you. I have just demonstrated how you could create them on the portal. For further information, if you want to integrate your mobile application, what you need to do is you need to go and create your own application, right? So you go there, select applications, and now you want to create a new mobile app. Click on create new application. Let's say you want to call this a movies app, an app that gives information about movies, right? If you can also select a logo, and let's say you create the app. So what you need to do here as you develop your mobile application is you need to have credentials. One is your developer credentials. The developer credential consists of a developer identifier that is created as soon as you register as a developer, and then there is a developer shared secret. You need to specify both these things when you're making your web service calls to Ocutag. And the other thing that you also need is an application credentials. There is, which consists of an identifier and a shared secret. You need to specify this also in the authorization header when you're making the web service calls. So you need to pass all these things when you're making the web service calls. And to build the code, I would urge you to go and click on the documentation link where you can read more about the APIs, and you also have access to some sample code which is available when you click on the sample code link. So sample code is available for iOS platform, Android platform, and the Windows platform. And once you download the sample code, you can actually use any editor of your choice, and you can start integrating and developing the OpenSnap application. So how to develop the mobile application is covered in a different webinar, and that we would touch upon later. So I would now get back and briefly discuss some of the resources that are there for you as you keep working on the app challenge. So one resource is the documentation that is available on the Ocutag portal, and the other resource that I just mentioned to you is the sample code that I just showed you where to find on the portal. There is also the YouTube channel where tutorials on how to use the portal, how to develop your mobile applications have been covered. You can use the YouTube channel for understanding about the Ocutag platform more. And there are the support aliases apart from what you're seeing in Basecamp, where you can send specific queries for during your work as you keep working on your app. So for technical queries, I would request you to use the tech@ocutagchallenge.com alias, and for anything else you could use the other support aliases. I'm Shekhar, and if you can feel free to reach me anytime. I've also shared my mobile number with most of you. You could feel free to reach me anytime that you want. And I would, before closing, I would like to answer some of the frequently asked questions. So I frequently get asked what are the upload limits for participants. So the normal upload limit is actually only 100 images, 10 images and 100 recognitions. But for app challenge participants, we have extended this limit to 1,000 images and 25,000 recognitions that you can do per month as you keep working and testing. So we figure that this should be sufficient for your development and testing tasks. And any restrictions on images that Ocutag has is that the images that you upload for indexing need to be at least 400 cross 400 pixels in size. Smaller than that are supported, but generally image recognition suffers beyond that. So it is recommended that you index good quality images which are at least 400 cross 400 pixels in dimension. And Ocutag returns only one match in the response. It returns the best image matched in the response. If you have multiple similar images indexed in your collection, Ocutag is bound to return only one, and the one that it is going to return is going to be the best match. So that is something that I'm frequently asked. And the next round results is something that you would be updated upon as the challenge progresses. So that's it from me today. This was Bharti Shekhar talking to you, and I hope you found this webinar useful, and all the best as you keep working on your apps in this app challenge. See you folks around. Bye.